Reflections on the summit. Sitting atop the windy peak of Mount Evi, Rondu's mind drifted through the memories of his past. The deaths of his two beloved siblings and his revered master Tammy weighed heavily on his heart. Life, it seemed, was a series of arrivals and departures, each leaving a profound impact on the journey of those left behind. Rondu contemplated the transient nature of existence. Life is like the wind, he thought. It flows freely, touching everything in its path, yet never staying in one place. We meet people, share moments with them, and then they leave, carried away by the currents of time. He remembered the vibrant energy of his siblings, their laughter, and their dreams. Their untimely deaths had taught him the fragility of life. We are like leaves in the wind, he mused. Delicate and easily torn from the branches that hold us. The loss of his master Tammy had shown him the value of wisdom and guidance. Tammy's teachings were not just about combat, but about understanding one's place in the world. Knowledge and wisdom are our roots, Rondu reflected. They anchor us and give us strength, even when the storms of life try to uproot us. Rondu's thoughts turned to the people who had betrayed him and those who had remained loyal. Trust is a precious gift, he realized. It can be easily given but is often taken for granted. Betrayal is a harsh lesson, teaching us to be wary but also to value true loyalty even more. He looked out over the vast expanse below, feeling the weight of his journey and the lessons learned along the way. Every encounter, every loss, has shaped me into who I am, he thought. Pain and suffering are part of life's tapestry, woven alongside joy and love. Rondu understood that life's trials were not just obstacles but opportunities for growth. Strength comes from enduring hardship, he concluded. It is through our struggles that we discover our true selves and our greatest potential. As the wind howled around him, Rondu felt a sense of peace. He had faced immense pain and loss, but he had also found resilience and purpose. Life is a journey of constant change, he thought. We must embrace it, learn from it, and continue moving forward, carrying the memories of those we have loved and lost. In that moment, atop the summit of Mount Evi, Rondu resolved to honor the legacies of his siblings, his master, and all who had touched his life. He would face the future with courage, knowing that every challenge was a step towards becoming the person he was meant to be. The final confrontation. Rondu sat cross-legged on the peak of Mount Evi, eyes closed, feeling the cold wind against his skin. The sound of footsteps echoed from a distance, growing louder as they approached. Rondu remained still, his mind focused, until the footsteps were nearly upon him. Rondu, a voice called out. We end this today. I won't return to the mighty gorilla headquarters until I've killed you. Rondu's eyes remained shut. Right on time, Heis. Perhaps you're right. It all ends today. With that, Rondu opened his eyes, a storm of determination in them. He moved with lightning speed, grabbing the ice sword he had planted in the ground beside him. In one swift motion, he swung it toward Heist's head. Heist sidestepped, feeling the cold edge of the blade whisper past him. He laughed, a booming sound that reverberated off the mountainside. I'm no stranger to the ice storm sword. Your skill has surpassed even that of your master, Tammy. Heist launched a thunderous punch at Rondu. The blow was met by the icy blade, creating a shockwave that sent both combatants skidding back. Rondu regained his footing and attacked again, his sword a blur of frost and steel. Heist countered with rapid punches and powerful kicks, each movement precise and deadly. The two warriors clashed, their movements a deadly dance of strength and skill. Rondu swung the ice sword in a wide arc, aiming for Heist's torso. Heist blocked with his forearm, the force of the blow sending chills through his bones. He retaliated with a spinning kick, which Rondu parried with the flat of his blade. You've improved, Heist admitted, launching a series of rapid punches. But not enough. Rondu deflected the punches, feeling the impact reverberate through his sword. We'll see about that, he replied, thrusting the ice sword towards Heist's chest. Heist twisted, the blade grazing his ribs and drawing a thin line of blood. He growled, the pain fueling his resolve. Heist lunged forward, aiming a powerful kick at Rondu's head. Rondu ducked, using the momentum to spin and slash at Heist's legs. Heist jumped, the sword missing by inches. He landed and immediately threw a punch, which Rondu barely dodged. Their fight continued, each blow and counterblow pushing them to their limits. Rondu's breath came in sharp bursts, the cold of the ice sword seeping into his hands. Heist's movements were relentless, his strength seemingly inexhaustible. Rondu swung the ice sword in a downward slash, aiming to end the battle. Heist caught the blade with his bare hands, the icy edge cutting into his palms. With a roar, he pushed back, forcing Rondu to stumble. They charged at each other, their final confrontation a clash of titanic forces. The air around them crackled with energy, the peak of Mount Evi bearing witness to their epic struggle. Each strike, each parry, was a testament to their indomitable wills and the fate that awaited them. The final confrontation between them would determine not just their fates, but the fate of all who had suffered under Heist's reign of terror. The relentless assault. Rondu fought fiercely, each swing of the ice sword precise and powerful. But as the battle wore on, he began to realize the vast difference in their strengths. Heist's internal powers seemed boundless, his every punch and kick radiating with overwhelming force. Each attack from Heist sent shockwaves through Rondu's defenses, pushing him back step by step. Despite wielding the ice sword, a weapon capable of slicing through steel, Rondu found himself increasingly on the defensive. Heist's strikes were swift and relentless, parrying Rondu's swordplay with alarming ease. In a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, Rondu thought, perhaps even my master's master wouldn't be a match for him. As he pondered this, Heist launched a powerful kick from above, aiming directly for Rondu's head. Reacting quickly, Rondu stepped back, narrowly avoiding the blow. But Heist was relentless, immediately following up with a barrage of punches that forced Rondu further back. Heist's fists moved like lightning, each blow heavier than the last. Rondu struggled to keep up, his movements increasingly sluggish under the weight of Heist's onslaught. His breath came in ragged gasps, his muscles burning from the effort of parrying and dodging. Heist smirked, sensing Rondu's exhaustion. "You're strong, Rondu, but not strong enough," he taunted, delivering a particularly brutal punch that sent Rondu sprawling to the ground. Rondu quickly rolled to his feet, but the impact of Heist's strike left him disoriented. He shook his head, trying to clear his vision, but Heist was already upon him. With a fierce determination, Rondu raised the ice sword, blocking Heist's next punch, the force of which vibrated through the blade and into his bones. "You can't win, Rondu," Heist growled, his eyes gleaming with a fierce intensity. "You never could." Rondu gritted his teeth, refusing to give in to despair. "I won't stop fighting," he declared, pushing back against Heist's relentless pressure. "Not until my last breath." Heist responded with a cold laugh, his fists blurring as he unleashed another series of rapid punches. Rondu parried as best as he could, but each deflection took its toll, his arms growing heavier with each clash. Desperation fueled Rondu's movements as he tried to find an opening. He swung the ice sword in a wide arc, but Heist ducked beneath it, countering with a powerful uppercut that sent Rondu stumbling back. Pain exploded in Rondu's jaw, but he steadied himself, tightening his grip on the ice sword. "I have to find a way to win," he thought. "I can't let Heist's tyranny continue." With renewed resolve, Rondu charged forward, aiming a thrust at Heist's midsection. Heist sidestepped, delivering a brutal kick to Rondu's ribs that knocked the wind out of him. Gasping for breath, Rondu barely managed to raise his sword in time to block the next punch. The two fighters continued their deadly dance, the clash of steel against flesh echoing across the mountaintop. Rondu's determination burned brighter than ever, even as his body screamed in protest. The battle raged on, a testament to the unyielding wills of both warriors. The final outcome remained uncertain, each moment a precarious balance between victory and defeat. The Iron Dragon Fist unleashed. Rondu's mind raced as he remembered the iron bars Flora had returned to him. Without hesitation, he drew them from his belt and hurled them toward Heist with all his might. The bars whistled through the air like bullets, their deadly points aimed straight at Heist. Heist's eyes narrowed, and he braced himself, his body radiating a palpable aura of energy. As the spikes neared, Heist's internal power flared to life, creating an invisible shield around him. The bars, despite their velocity, were halted in their tracks, clattering harmlessly to the ground at Heist's feet. Rondu's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. "What kind of power is this?" he thought. Heist's voice boomed across the mountaintop. "This is the power of the Iron Dragon Fist, Rondu. I've spent over a decade mastering this technique. My internal energy forms an impenetrable shield around me, like a wall of iron. No weapon can pierce it." With a roar, Heist charged forward, his fists glowing with a fierce, fiery light. He launched a barrage of punches at Rondu, each strike carrying the force of a battering ram. Rondu barely managed to block and evade, each impact sending shockwaves through his body. The power of Heist's Iron Dragon Fist was undeniable. Every punch he threw seemed to carry the weight of mountains, and Rondu felt his defenses weakening under the relentless assault. He swung the ice sword in desperate arcs, but Heist's energy shield deflected each blow, the sword's edge unable to penetrate. "Your efforts are futile, Rondu," Heist taunted, his confidence growing with each passing moment. "You cannot defeat me." Rondu gritted his teeth, refusing to give in. He knew he had to find a way to break through Heist's defenses. Drawing on his training, he focused his energy, channeling it into the ice sword. He lunged forward, swinging the blade in a powerful arc, aiming for Heist's midsection. Heist responded with a swift counterattack, his Iron Dragon Fist meeting the ice sword with a resounding clash. The impact created a burst of energy, sending both fighters skidding back. Rondu's arms trembled from the force, but he held his ground, determination blazing in his eyes. "You may have the Iron Dragon Fist, but I won't give up," Rondu shouted, his voice echoing across the mountaintop. Heist smirked, his aura intensifying. "Then prepare to meet your end." With a furious roar, Heist unleashed a devastating series of punches and kicks. Each strike was a blur of motion, his fists and feet moving with lightning speed. Rondu fought back with all his might, his movements a dance of survival. He parried and dodged, countering with precise strikes of his own. The battle raged on, a fierce and unyielding clash of wills. The ground beneath them trembled from the force of their attacks, the air crackling with energy. Rondu felt his strength waning, but he refused to back down. He knew that if he could find just one opening, he could turn the tide. Drawing on every ounce of his skill and determination, Rondu launched a final, desperate assault. He focused his energy into the ice sword, the blade glowing with an icy blue light. He swung the sword in a sweeping arc, aiming to breach Heist's ironclad defenses. Heist met the attack head-on, his Iron Dragon Fist flaring with power. Rondu's resolve remained unbroken. He knew the battle was far from over, and he was ready to give everything he had to emerge victorious. The shattering of Ice Sword. Taking advantage of a slight opening, Rondu leapt forward, thrusting his sword straight into Heist's chest. Heist quickly raised both hands, catching the blade, and channeled his internal power into his arms. To Rondu's astonishment, Heist snapped the ice sword in two. Never before had anyone broken the ice sword, as it was forged from Zeep steel, a metal 100 times harder than ordinary steel. The sword was crafted by Ren himself, the most renowned blacksmith of all time. Breaking the ice sword was thought to be impossible, showcasing Heist's terrifying strength. The birth of the ice sword. In a hidden forge deep within the ancient mountains, the legendary blacksmith Ren created the ice sword, a weapon destined for one warrior alone, Rondu. This blade, forged from the rare and mystical Zeep steel, appeared only 3 years prior, yet its legend had already grown immensely. Ren, the most renowned blacksmith of all time, was known for his unparalleled skill and artistry. When Rondu approached him with a request for a sword that could withstand the greatest of battles, Ren knew this would be his magnum opus. Zeep steel, the material chosen for the ice sword, was a metal of extraordinary properties. Found only in the deepest and most treacherous mines, it possessed a hardness and resilience that surpassed any other metal known to man. The process of forging Zeep steel was arduous and perilous, requiring Ren to endure extreme heat and pressure to shape the metal into a weapon of unmatched quality. Ren spent countless hours in his forge, meticulously working on the ice sword. Each step of the process was executed with precision, from the initial smelting of the Zeep steel to the final honing of the blade's edge. Ren's dedication to his craft was evident in every strike of his hammer and every fold of the metal. He poured his soul into the creation of the sword, ensuring that it would be worthy of the warrior who would wield it. The result was a masterpiece. The ice sword was perfectly balanced, its weight ethereal in the hands of a skilled warrior. The steel, refined to perfection, shimmered with a cold, blue light, giving the sword its name. The edge was razor-sharp, capable of cutting through the toughest armor and cleaving stone with ease. Tammy, Rondu's master, had once warned him about the weapons forged by Ren. The weapons created by Ren, Tammy said, carry the spirits of those who fall before their sharp blades. Those who wield them often become bloodthirsty, as these weapons tend to control their users. Ren imbued the ice sword with ancient runes and spells, enhancing its durability and making it nearly indestructible. The sword could withstand the mightiest blows without a scratch, and its edge never dulled, no matter how many battles it saw. When Ren presented the ice sword to Rondu, it was with the understanding that this blade was more than just a weapon, it was a symbol of hope and resilience. The sword responded to Rondu's thoughts and movements, becoming an extension of his will. It harnessed the power of ice, freezing anything it touched and summoning icy winds to aid its bearer in battle. The ice sword quickly became a legend in its own right. In just 3 years, it turned the tides of countless battles, vanquishing formidable foes and defending the realm from unspeakable evils. The sword was a beacon of light in dark times, a reminder of the enduring spirit of those who fought for justice and peace. However, the breaking of the ice sword was an event that defied belief. For 3 years, it had stood as a testament to unbreakable strength and unyielding resolve. The shattering of its blade by Heiss marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new, uncertain chapter in Rondu's journey. It was not just a physical act, but a profound symbol of the immense power wielded by Heiss, a testament to the challenges that lay ahead. The brink of defeat. Rondu found himself at an impasse. Despite his best efforts, he could not gain the upper hand against Heiss in their fierce battle. Desperation set in, and Rondu decided to employ his own unique martial art. Channeling his inner strength, he gathered his energy into both fists and launched a powerful attack at Heiss. Heiss, rather than striking back, concentrated his own internal energy to absorb Rondu's first punch. The impact felt like hitting a wall of steel. Rondu did not relent. He summoned more energy and delivered a second punch, even more forceful than the first. Again, Heiss absorbed the blow, and then his energy exploded outward, sending Rondu flying more than 10 meters away. Rondu spat out a mouthful of blood, staggering as he tried to remain on his feet. Tammy, his master, had warned him about this very moment. Every martial art has its weaknesses. The strength of Rondu's technique lay in overwhelming the opponent's internal power and repelling them. However, this strength turned into a fatal flaw when facing an opponent with superior internal power, as the force would rebound back onto Rondu. Collapsed on the ground, Rondu felt his vision blur and his strength drain away. It was as if he had struck himself, the intensity of his internal power amplifying the severity of his injuries. His eyes closed, and he teetered on the edge of unconsciousness, experiencing a brush with death. Heiss stood over him, his voice cold and unforgiving. "You have lost," he declared, a grim satisfaction in his tone. Rondu's world darkened, and the realization of his defeat settled heavily upon him. The brink of defeat seemed insurmountable as the crushing weight of his failure bore down on his battered spirit.